Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, gather in close and listen with an open heart. Today, pain is not what breaks us. It's what reveals where our true strength begins. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain at all costs. We're taught to fear it, to see it as a sign of failure, weakness, or loss. When pain comes, whether through heartbreak, disappointment, failure, or tragedy, our first instinct is to run from it, to bury it, or to cover it up with noise and distraction. But the truth is, pain is not the enemy. Pain is not the thing that destroys us. Pain is the thing that strips away all the illusions, all the masks we wear, all the false stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. When everything is going right, when life is smooth, when success comes easily, we can convince ourselves that we are strong because we haven't yet been tested. But strength that hasn't been tested isn't strength. It's potential, and pain is the force that brings that potential to the surface. In the moments when life hurts the most, when the weight feels too heavy to bear, that's where we discover what's really inside of us. We find the courage we didn't know we had. We find resilience we never thought we would need. We find determination that surprises even us. And none of it comes from the absence of pain. It comes precisely because of the pain. It comes because we are forced to dig deeper, to reach further, to become more than we were before. Pain pushes us to grow. It pushes us to confront our limits and then move beyond them. It forces us to let go of what no longer serves us and to build something new, something stronger, something that can withstand the storms of life. The strongest people you know didn't get that way because everything went right for them. They became strong because they faced what went wrong. They became strong because they walked through the fire and kept going. They became strong because they chose not to let the pain have the final say. Pain has a way of clarifying what matters. When you're hurting, the noise falls away. The opinions of others, the expectations of society, the distractions that once seemed so important, they all fade into the background. What's left is the raw truth of who you are and what you believe, and in that truth you find your strength. You find out what you're willing to fight for, what you're willing to stand for, what you're willing to build no matter how hard it gets. Pain doesn't just reveal our strength to ourselves. It reveals it to others. When people see someone who has suffered and refused to give up, who has struggled and chosen to rise, they see an example of what's possible. They see proof that pain doesn't have to destroy us. They see hope that they, too, can face their own challenges and come out stronger on the other side. This is why those who have walked through pain often become the greatest sources of inspiration, not because they are perfect, not because they never fell, but because they kept getting up, because they kept choosing to move forward even when it hurt, because they let the pain shape them but not define them. Pain teaches us lessons that comfort never can. It teaches us patience because healing takes time. It teaches us humility because pain reminds us that we are not invincible. It teaches us empathy because when we have suffered, we can see and feel the suffering of others. It teaches us gratitude because when the pain eases, we begin to appreciate the simple joys we once took for granted. These are the qualities that build true strength, the kind of strength that doesn't waver when life gets hard, the kind of strength that doesn't need to shout or show off, the kind of strength that is steady, quiet, and real. So often, we think of strength as something loud, something visible, something obvious. We picture power as force, as dominance, as control. But real strength often looks very different. Real strength looks like getting out of bed on the days when everything inside you wants to stay down. Real strength looks like showing up again and again, even when the world feels heavy. Real strength looks like choosing kindness when bitterness would be easier, choosing hope when despair feels closer. And all of that strength begins in the moments of pain, in the moments when we feel like we have nothing left, and somehow we find that we do. Pain is not what breaks us, it's what invites us to build character, to build resilience, to build a life that can hold both joy and sorrow, both triumph and loss. It invites us to stop pretending, to stop performing, to stop chasing the empty promises of ease and comfort, and instead to step into who we really are. And who we really are is always stronger than we thought. Who we really are is always waiting to be revealed, not in the absence of pain, but through it. Because it is in the struggle that we grow. It is in the challenge that we rise. And it is in the pain that we find the doorway to our true strength. The strongest version of you isn't built in comfort. It's forged in the fire of your struggles. Comfort feels good. It's familiar, it's safe, and it gives us the illusion that we are in control. When we're comfortable, we don't feel the need to change, to push harder, to reach deeper. But growth doesn't happen in those easy moments. Growth happens in the spaces where we are stretched, where we are challenged, where we are tested in ways that force us to become more than we were before. This strongest version of you doesn't emerge when everything goes right. It emerges when everything seems to fall apart, when the path ahead looks uncertain, when you're faced with obstacles you never saw coming and you have no choice but to find a way through. Struggle has a way of showing us what comfort hides. It reveals the gaps in our strength, the places where we've relied too long on what's easy, the ways we've avoided doing the hard inner work that real growth requires. And in those moments we're faced with a decision. We can turn back toward what's familiar. We can seek out the safety of the known, try to patch things up just enough to feel comfortable again. Or we can lean into the struggle. We can choose to stay in the fire long enough to let it change us. And that's where transformation happens, because it's in the struggle that we find out what we're really made of. It's in the struggle that we develop the resilience, the discipline, the courage that comfort never asks of us. There's a reason why the people we admire most are not those who had it easy, but those who overcame. We look up to people who have been through something hard and come out stronger on the other side. Because deep down, we know that's where real strength comes from. We know that comfort can't teach us how to endure, how to persevere, how to rise. Only struggle can do that. Struggle demands that we dig deeper than we thought we could. It forces us to confront the parts of ourselves that we'd rather ignore. It pushes us to become more patient, more focused, more determined. It sharpens us. It refines us. And in the process, it forges a version of ourselves that is capable of facing whatever comes next. When we avoid struggle, when we seek only comfort, we limit ourselves, we stay small. We choose the easy path, but at the cost of our own potential. We might feel safe, but we miss out on the chance to discover just how strong we can be. The strongest version of you doesn't come from choosing the easy way. It comes from choosing the harder way, the way that asks more of you, that stretches you, that challenges you to grow. It comes from staying in the fight even when it would be easier to quit. It comes from choosing to believe that you can handle the hard things, that you can face what scares you, that you can overcome what stands in your way. Struggle also teaches us perspective. It helps us see what truly matters. When we're comfortable, it's easy to get caught up in the small things, to worry about things that don't really matter in the long run. But struggle strips all that away. It forces us to focus on what's essential. It reminds us of what we value most, of what we're willing to fight for, of who we want to become. And with that clarity, we can make choices that align with our deepest purpose. We can let go of what doesn't serve us. We can stop chasing what looks good and start building what's real. There's also a kind of quiet confidence that comes from struggle. When you've been through hard things and kept going, when you've faced challenges and refused to back down, you carry that strength with you. You walk a little taller. You trust yourself more. You stop needing external validation because you've proven to yourself what you're capable of. That confidence doesn't come from ease. It comes from every moment you chose to stay in the struggle, to do the hard thing, to keep going when it would have been easier to give up. Struggle builds character. It builds grit. It builds the kind of inner strength that can't be shaken by the ups and downs of life. It prepares you for the next challenge, the next opportunity, the next step in your journey. And every time you choose to face the struggle, every time you choose to stay in the fire and let it forge you, you become stronger. You become wiser. You become more of the person you were meant to be. The strongest version of you isn't something that just happens. It's something you build piece by piece, choice by choice. In the moments when you decide that struggle won't break you, it will make you. Power isn't found in avoiding pain, it's found in transforming it into purpose. Most of us spend so much of our lives trying to run from pain. We think if we can just avoid it, if we can dodge the hard moments, if we can protect ourselves from getting hurt, we'll be stronger. But that's not where real power comes from. Real power isn't about how well we can hide from pain. Real power comes from what we choose to do with it. Pain is part of life. None of us escapes it. We all experience loss, failure, rejection, disappointment. We all go through seasons where we question ourselves, where we feel broken, where we wonder if we'll ever find our way again. The difference isn't in who has pain and who doesn't. The difference is in what we do with it when it comes. Pain can be the thing that stops us, or it can be the thing that moves us forward. It can be the thing that makes us bitter, or it can be the thing that gives us compassion. It can break us down, or it can build us up, and what makes the difference is the choice we make in the middle of it. When we stop seeing pain as something to escape and start seeing it as something we can use, everything changes. The moments that once felt like the end become the beginning of something new. The hurt that once felt pointless becomes the fuel for a deeper purpose. The struggle that once felt like it would crush us becomes the very thing that shapes us into who we were meant to be. There is incredible strength in someone who has taken their pain and turned it into something that serves others. When we meet people who have been through hard things and come out the other side not angry, not hardened, but wiser, kinder, more determined, we're drawn to them. We trust them because we know they understand what it means to hurt, and we see that they didn't let that hurt define them in a negative way. Instead, they used it. They chose to take what was meant to break them and turn it into a force for good. That's where true power comes from. It comes from facing our pain honestly, from feeling it fully, from refusing to let it have the final word, and from deciding that we will use it to build something meaningful. Transforming pain into purpose doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It doesn't mean minimizing it or rushing past it. It means sitting with it long enough to understand what it can teach us. It means asking ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can this experience make me better? How can I take this and help someone else who might be facing the same thing? Because that's one of the most powerful ways to turn pain into purpose, to use what we've been through to lift others up. When we share our story, when we offer our support, when we use our experiences to bring hope to someone else, we take control of our pain. We stop being victims of it and we start being stewards of it. We start turning what was meant for harm into something that brings light. There's a quiet power that comes with this kind of transformation. It's not loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It's the kind of strength that shows up in how we live, in the choices we make, in the way we show up for others. People see it not in what we say, but in what we do. They see it in the patience we offer, in the grace we extend, in the hope we carry even in hard times. And that kind of power is lasting. It doesn't fade when circumstances change. It doesn't depend on everything going right. It's rooted deep within us, built through the choices we make each time pain comes and we decide not to waste it. Pain gives us the raw material. It gives us the fire. What we do with it determines whether we let it burn us down or whether we let it forge us into something stronger. Purpose is what gives the pain meaning. It's what allows us to look back at the hardest parts of our story and see that they weren't wasted, that they weren't random, that they were part of building something greater than ourselves. And every time we choose to transform pain into purpose, we build more of that power within us. We build more resilience, we build more clarity, we build more determination to keep going no matter what comes next. And that is a power that no one can take away. That is a power that lasts. That is a power that not only changes us, but can change the world around us, one choice at a time, one act of purpose at a time. One transformed pain at a time. Those who inspire don't hide their pain. They use it as proof that strength is possible. The people we admire most, the ones who leave a lasting mark on our hearts and minds, are not those who lived perfect, easy lives. They are the ones who faced hardship, who encountered struggle, who felt the sting of loss, failure, or rejection, and instead of letting those moments define them in weakness, they chose to let those moments reveal their strength. These are the people who remind us that it's okay to hurt, that it's okay to fall, that it's okay to break, because what truly matters is what we choose to do next. They show us that strength isn't about having it all together, or never stumbling, or never feeling fear. Strength is about what we do with our brokenness. It's about choosing to rise when it would be easier to stay down. When we see people who are open about their struggles, who don't pretend that life is always easy or that they always have the answers, we feel a deeper connection to them. There's something powerful about honesty. There's something magnetic about vulnerability, because in that openness we see ourselves. We see our own fears, our own pain, our own battles reflected back at us, and we see what's possible. We see that it's possible to go through hard things and come out stronger. We see that it's possible to feel lost and still find our way. We see that it's possible to fall apart and still rebuild, piece by piece, into something even more whole than before. That is what inspires us, not perfection, but perseverance, not flawless success, but the courage to keep going despite failure. Those who inspire are not those who hide their scars. They are those who wear them with humility and grace, not as trophies, but as reminders of what they've overcome. They don't use their pain to seek sympathy or attention. They use their pain to give hope to others. They use it to say, "If I can make it through this, so can you." They use it to remind us that struggle is part of the journey, not the end of it. They use it to light the way for those who are still in the dark, to be a voice for those who feel voiceless, to stand as proof that we are stronger than we think. And that proof matters, because when we are hurting, when we are in the middle of our own storm, it can be hard to believe that we have the strength to get through it. But when we see someone else who has walked that path and come out the other side, we begin to believe that we can too. Inspiration doesn't come from hiding the hard parts of our story. It comes from owning them. From saying, "This happened, it was hard, it hurt, but I'm still here, I'm still standing, and I've learned, and I've grown." That kind of honesty draws people in because it's real. It's human. It breaks through the surface-level image of strength that the world so often sells us, the image of strength as never needing help, never struggling, never failing. Real strength looks very different. Real strength looks like admitting when you're afraid, but showing up anyway. Real strength looks like asking for help when you need it. Real strength looks like falling and deciding to get back up one more time. And those who live this kind of strength inspire others to do the same. When we choose to use our pain as proof of strength, we shift the way we see ourselves and the way others see us. We stop hiding, we stop pretending, we stop wasting energy trying to appear perfect, and we start investing that energy into growth, into healing, into building something that lasts. And in doing so, we give others permission to do the same. We create space for honest conversations. We create space for real connection. We create space for community, not built on pretending that everything is fine, but built on supporting each other through what isn't. That is the kind of leadership, the kind of impact, the kind of legacy that lasts, because it's not built on image, it's built on truth. Those who inspire us most are the ones who remind us that strength isn't about being untouched by pain. It's about being shaped by it in a way that makes us wiser, kinder, more compassionate, more determined. It's about letting pain be the thing that opens our hearts rather than closes them. It's about choosing to see our struggles not as shameful secrets to hide, but as powerful testimonies to share. And in sharing them, we remind the world that strength is possible not just for a few, but for all of us. We remind the world that no one is alone in their pain, and no one has to be alone in their healing. We remind the world that hope is real, that resilience is real, that rising again and again is not only possible, but powerful beyond measure.